Okay, this is going to be just a real quick video on the eraser tool and a cool new tool for CS4, which is the Magic Eraser tool, which sounds exciting because it's magical, right? But they're two really easy tools to use. The only note is both these tools are both destructive. And as we talked about in other videos, destructive meaning that once you do them and you save this file, there's no going back. So you always want to make sure you have an original copy of your image or original copy of whatever you're working on, just in case you do want to go back. So there are times when I would use these things. There are many other ways I would do this, but I did want to talk about the eraser and the magic eraser. So let's talk about our father-son image. And let's say for whatever reason, let's move him to the top of our composition. This is our postcard composition, by the way. And if you looked at the layers video, this comes straight from the layers video of how it's arranged. So I'm going to click and drag the father and son above the right column. And I'm going to do that just for illustration purposes. You can see our image is way too big. It cuts off half of our logo, so we don't want that. So we fix that by using our layers, but we can also actually just delete this whole section using our eraser tool. So our eraser tool is in our tool panel, and it's about almost exactly halfway down. So here's our eraser tool. It looks like kind of like just a rectangle, 3D rectangle, probably like an old school chalkboard. And there's three tools: background eraser tool and magic eraser tool. And there's a couple different ways to use those. Let's talk about the eraser tool first. Now the eraser tool looks just like a brush, and like anything in Photoshop, you want to make sure you're selected on the right layer. So I am on the father-son layer. You can tell that because it's blue. And no matter wherever I click and drag, I'm actually going to delete part of the image. So there's no constraints on this. You can see I can go any direction, and it removes that. So you can see actually up here on my thumbnail, it removes it as well. So now it's gone. The only way to get this back is temporarily. We could get this back by going to our history panel. So we can go up to Window, History, and undo what we just did. Okay. What we can also do is constrain our directions. So if we want a straight line or we want a 45-degree line, if I click and hold the shift key down, so I'm going to hold the shift key down and drag, you can see I get a straight line. No matter how far I come down here, I get a straight line. It makes that straight line for me. And you can see those little jaggedy lines. You can see I get those because I'm erasing with a round brush. And it's trying to make little circles. So it's a little circle, little circle, little circle, little circle. There's two ways to fix that. You can click and drag and go back and forth enough where you don't get the little circles. And so you can see I get a straight line there. Or you can come up here and change your brush to a square brush, something that will do that for you. I usually just use a round brush and just go back and forth a few times. So I'm going to go back, and in our example we want to create a straight line right here. Okay, so I'm going to go off my page. I'm going to close my history panel just so it's out of the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and hold shift down here and then drag all the way up to here, way past the gray area, and then I'm going to go back and forth 2 or 3 times just to create that nice straight line. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to get rid of whatever else is left here. So I'm going to click way down here. I'm going to line up the left edge of my brush because that's where it'll delete, right there next to that image, because I know that's the column that I want. So I'm going to hit shift, then I'm going to click, and shift is all it's doing is constraining it so it goes in a perfectly straight line. So no matter if I go crooked, it's going to go in a perfectly straight line for me. And then to get rid of those little jagged lines, I'm going to go back and forth a few times. You can see I get a perfectly straight line now, which is really, really nice. And now I can't get this stuff yet because I'm still holding the shift key down. So if I were to let go of the shift key, let go of my mouse button, so now I'm not holding anything down, I can now click and easily remove this section. And now I've deleted this image and it's only this big. So in certain instances that may be perfect. Um, I I don't use this tool as much as I use other things like masks. So we'll talk about masks in an upcoming video. So check that out. That's probably how I'd actually do this. What I really want to show you is the magic eraser tool and the background eraser tool. So let's go to the magic eraser tool first. And let's say you want to get rid of the sky. You're going to do some sort of artistic thing. So in our father and son area, you can see I get this magic eraser with this little star next to it as my icon. That means it's going to try and erase every color in that hue. So when I click here, you can see it erases that whole section until where his little antenna is. And if I click on the other side of him, it erases the whole sky. And it does a decent job. So if you're going to do something interesting with the sky, you could click 3 times, looks like maybe 4 times, and you could almost have the sky totally erased. Same if you wanted to erase the dunes. You could do a couple clicks, and now you have a pretty good cutout of the father and son. I would go back here and fine-tune that with your eraser tool and get rid of the other stuff. So that's an option. What this really works well on, I'm going to undo that, so because I don't want the magic eraser tool on that instance. But let's say we want this logo. We want to move this logo to this left corner. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's move our logo out of our group. So I'm going to click and drag it above the father and son and drop it there. And then I'm going to use my move tool and move it up to the top left corner. And then I'm going to position it, so I'm going to size it down by going to Edit, Transform. And there's a video on that if you don't know how to do that. So click Transform. I like it in that area, but I don't like all this white area. What I want it to be is just the logo. So it's really easy. I go to my magic eraser tool, and I click, make sure you're on your logo layer, it's selected, and I click that white area, and it's gone. Now, it does a really good job at recognizing the lines, and you can see I still have a white area inside the O, so I'm going to click there, and that looks pretty good. Let me zoom in on that. Click on my zoom tool, and zoom in on that. It did a really good job of even leaving the reserve mark there for us. So that's a great way to use the tool, and that's really what I use the Magic Erase tool for, because there's really no reason to have a mask just for this. So you'll learn more about masks in another video, so check out that video, because there's definitely cool ways to use masks. But that's the eraser tool and the Magic Eraser tool.